Great. Good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock. There aren't any members of the press or the public, so you know the usual announcements. You know all of those about evacuation facilities. Please turn off your mobile phones, and you know the rules about filming and speaking, so I don't need to tell you all of that. Before officially starting, I think we should note the passing of Ian Grundy, and who, as you know, was a city and county councillor for some years, and I'll just hand over to Roy to say a few words.
Yes, I mean, as you know, he had been having treatment for a while and so on, but Ian always looked young, really, and never looked like he was sort of suffering. And it was therefore somewhat sudden, I think, that he was taken into hospital and never came out again, really. But, I mean, I've known Ian since 2003, and he gallantly took over from Lord Hanningfield, really. No greater thing anybody can do in life, probably, than that. But he was, you know, the nicest of chaps. You know, his funeral is next week at the Crem at 10:30. And I think, you know, it'd be nice to have a minute for that, really. But, yeah, the fact that he was 85 astonished me, I have to say. And for people kept coming up to me saying, he was so young, how did he die? Well, the answer is he had the secret of life, more than I have anyway. So that perhaps we could just have one moment for that, please.
Thank you, everyone. Yes. Okay. Apologies.
Thank you, Chair. I've had apologies from Councillors Armstrong, Ely, Hawkins, Highland, Large and Fulbaps.
Okay.
Thank you.
Also, as the fact that Ian is no longer around, as you know, there'll be a by-election, and therefore we're in a pre-election period, and therefore we're not supposed to do anything before the 12th of December, which constitutes political campaigning within the council, or the council is not allowed to do anything which might be seen as supporting one group or party or candidate, and therefore you need to keep your questions in a moment to being non-political if you can, and that's what we'll try and do for the rest of the agenda. Right, declarations of interest, if you have any, please say now or at the relevant item. The minutes of the 8th of October, can I sign those as a correct record? And we note that the last item was called in and the ONS ratified the decision, which will now be implemented. On the next item is public questions, and we have one question which you've seen in advance. Mr. D asked, why are we still asking for 24 hours notice of any questions? And the answer I would give is that two things. One is by giving questions in advance, it gives officers and the cabinet member the chance to prepare properly an answer, rather than having to say, I'll write to you after the meeting if you don't know the answer to the question. And secondly, as you know, we'd like now, people can submit their questions and we will answer them without the person being present, which is an improvement on the past practice. So they will still get an answer even if they're not here. So those, I feel, are two improvements to the way we used to do things in the past. And the rule change went through governance and then to council, and everybody on all sides was content with that change, I think. So I think we've actually got a better system than we used to have. And so, no doubt, Mr. D will therefore get his answer, even though he's not here. Right, so moving on to members' questions. As always, this is for items for which the Cabinet is responsible, not just random questions. Any questions for the Cabinet members? No. Oh, this is going to be easy. Right. Okay, so moving on to the active Chelmsford report, the Rural England Prosperity Fund.
Yes, I'm here to present the report for the Rural England Prosperity Fund. It's a fund which is to support capital projects for small businesses and community infrastructure. It's actually the second year of this fund, and in fact it's the second and final year of the Rural England Prosperity Fund. Chelmsford has been allocated £400,000 in total, of which £100,000 was made available to us last year, and this year this comprehensive report basically details how it's been allocated for the period of 24-25. The decision is made by the Community Funding Panel, and it is pretty self-explanatory. And I'm just going to ask Cabinet to note the report and approve the recommendations made by the panel.
Any questions? No? Everyone happy with that? Is that agreed then?
Agreed.
Thank you. Moving on, the Treasury Management Report. Councillor Davison.
Yes, thank you. For the benefit of anybody who's watching online, I'm the Cabinet Member for Finance, and this is a report on the first half of this year in terms of the Treasury Management. Treasury Management is essentially how we look after our money. The Council always has some cash. It receives money before it needs to spend it, and we need to look after that and make it work for us. The report essentially has been to the Treasury Management and Investment Subcommittee last month. The subcommittee, which I chair, was happy to recommend the report to Cabinet and to Council. The report essentially says in the first half of the year everything went fine. We complied with the existing strategy. There's no changes in the strategy recommended, so it's business as usual. I'm happy to take any questions. Otherwise, I shall ask Cabinet to forward the report to December Council.
Right. No questions? No? Okay. Is that report agreed? Thank you. Right, moving on to licensing. As Councillor Ely can't be here this evening, I shall present this. So this is a report from the Licensing Committee on some relatively minor changes to the gambling policy, which we have to publish, or we have to review and publish every 3 years. In section 2, it sets out 4 relatively minor changes around age and protecting vulnerable individuals, which are covered in the legislation. So the changes largely reflect the changes in government policy, and it's been to the Licensing Committee and it will now go to Council. Does anybody have any questions? No. Thank you very much. Is that agreed? That we send that on to Council? Yeah?
Agreed.
Okay. Right. There isn't anything else on the agenda this evening, is there, apart from the one confidential item, reports to Council?
It will be the two we've just had.
Two we've just done, yeah. Licensing and Treasury Management. Right. So therefore I move the exclusion of the press and public under the 1972 Local Government Act